Winter Haven, and 1390 AM and 107.5 FM, WAVP, and W298BU FM, Avon Park. This is Boss Hogg Radio, home of Born to Ride Radio.
I was born to live, live to ride, ride to live. I was born to ride. American built, we forever unite. And that's the deal. I was born to
This is Boss Hogg Radio, home of Born to Ride Radio.
Born to Ride is sponsored in part by Rubenstein Law, 1-800-FL-LEGAL, representing riders since 1988. Offices throughout Florida, 1-800-FL-LEGAL.
everyone was right. I was born to ride.
Born to Ride is a multimedia marketing and promotional machine with TV, magazines, streaming radio, and internet advertising opportunities. There are tens of thousands of motorcycles. We reach the people who ride them. Born to Ride. Find out more at borntoride.com.
You can join the motorcycle enthusiast conversation at 863-225-2000. Now, here's more of your hosts, Fester Jenkins and Mama Dukes, on Born to Ride Radio.
Welcome to the New Year edition of Born to Ride Radio on the Boss Hogg Radio Network. That's right, I'm Fester Jenkins. Mama Dukes is in the studio, running a little late, but she made it here, just ran through. We've got Ron Galletti and Debbie Galletti in the studio, too. Welcome, guys. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has
We've
been
all
a while.
slacking, haven't we? Mama Dukes is primping somewhere.
What's happening, man? Happy New Year.
It was nice to have some time off, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was nice. And how about y'all? New Year, Christmas, everything great? Family, enjoy it, everything?
Yes, nice. And it was nice to spend time with the family and, you know, all that good stuff. Food, lots of food. Our name ends in an I, so there's always lots of food. Did you ever see an Italian's refrigerator after Christmas? Woo!
And Deb, behind you, I see it. The wheel. That's the Boss Hogg wheel. Is that the wheel of misfortune?
That's
or-
the wheel of misfortune. One out of four chances you win, so 3 out of 4, you know, the odds are going to come up.
So, Deb, what were we talking about? That bringing the Boss Hogg wheel of misfortune out to.
JF Kicks.
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to load that up with lotto tickets and some cash, some scratch-offs, some gifts, and we're going to spin that wheel.
Okay.
That's the last Tuesday, right, of every
Last
month.
Tuesday of January, yes.
I'll tell you what. We've been doing this for 3 months now, and I've been purposely trying something different on the menu every time we go, and I have not been disappointed.
Awesome.
The shepherd's pie, loved it.
Oh, you,
The lobster mac and cheese, that was awesome. I mean, awesome, folks. If you like lobster mac and cheese, you've got to try JF Kicks, no doubt about that. And then this last time I tried the blackened chicken over the Alfredo. And again, Great dish.
How was that? You got a good portion too. I saw you chowing down for a while
Yeah,
on that. You didn't go hungry, man. No. And then we saw.
I know Ron came by and says, yeah, we ordered. And he says, man, y'all didn't order me. I'm hungry.
I know, man.
He was out. He was out there politicking and going all over the place. Yeah.
Well, there's so many people there. Gosh, all those bikes. Those are good.
Yeah, it's a good time. The band was good that night. Had a good time with the band. Smack.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how they came up with that name there. Yeah.
Somebody missed a song or missed a chord or a note or something. Smack. So they were a good time. Also, what, 3-piece? They were sound like
the little 3-piece band. Yep.
Well, they
good
sound like
for a 3-piece.
Yeah, they sound like a 10-piece band. It was crazy. That was good. Good times.
Absolutely.
But JF Kicks, it's always nice on that patio anyway. Nice patio with that fireplace and, outdoors and everything. Oh, here comes Mama Duke. Happy New
Mama
Year!
Dukes, Happy New Year.
Hi, same to you guys.
How are you?
Fine. You guys have a good New Year's?
We did. Everything, all the holidays, real good, real nice. What was really nice this year was a lot of friends and family were displaced because they couldn't travel and go where they usually go. So we had them over, and it was nice to spend the holidays with different people, and it was a good time. It was a really good time.
Did you keep it under like the minimum and 6 feet apart?
Yeah. Yep. As we were sharing shooters. Sambuca for everyone.
So Jane Castor would be disappointed in the Galettis. Is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Oh, well, it won't be the first time we get a demerit.
The way it's going, it won't be the last.
All right.
So on the phone, who do we have?
We've got Dave Nichols. Dave, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you guys?
Great.
Marvelous. Just
Dave,
marvelous.
how are you, man?
It's another perfect day. It's 2021, and we are going to kick butt in 2021.
Or it's going to kick us, one or the other.
That's right. And we have got quite an incredible guest coming on here in a few minutes. This guy is, to the chopper world, the custom motorcycle world, he is like the godfather of choppers. I'm talking about Mondo Porras from Denver's Choppers. He has built more custom choppers than any human being alive. And he's going to be with us here in just a few minutes.
And he specializes in the front ends, right? Some nice forks.
Yep, he is going to hand build a custom Springer front end that we're going to be giving away at Thunder by the Bay next month.
That'll be awesome.
That's awesome. That's
yep.
That's stepping up. That's stepping up the game there.
and Dave, we went there today for a meeting, and we saw the building. I'll have to text you some pictures, man, because Eric was blown away, and we really have a nice location. It's going to be awesome. It's like 120 feet by 65 feet. It's a big building, nice ceilings, big doors. It's really set up nice.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, that's going to be a heck of a show, incredible chopper show, and there's going to be ride-in bike shows. It's 3 days of fun.
I believe 19th, 20th, 21st, correct?
Of February, yes.
That is right, yeah.
So it'll be a great time.
And you saw the new issue, right? The new magazine featuring the showstopper himself.
Yeah, beautiful job. Nice job on that issue. And that's our first issue. Not only the first issue of 2021, but it is Born to Ride's 200th issue.
Man, it is the 200 issue, man. And you know what? Your letter from the editor really put a lot in perspective. We really appreciate that. Reading it over and over, it just made so much sense and vision, and I think that's very important. Talked about Think Motorcycle and, a lot of the other things you made reference to. 200 issues of the magazine, that's a good accomplishment there. And it sets the tone for the whole magazine.
Yeah, and that's really the whole idea, is to get people to think motorcycle in different ways depending on who you are. It's not just about going out there and riding your bike. We want you to be safe when you're riding your bike, but also it's for people that aren't even into motorcycles yet. We want you to be part of the family, and everybody out there, if you're not a member of the Facebook Born to Ride family, we need you to join up and be part of the Born to Ride family.
Yeah, the Born to Ride Facebook group is actually growing every day. People all over the world. I was talking to a guy today from, where was he from? Denmark or Norway. It was Norway, and it's a really cool called Revolver Garage. Revolver Garage. It's a cool chopper site or group, and we're starting to network back and forth with those guys as well.
And see the power of the internet, that you can have bikers all over the world, that communicate and can be part of something together. That's a big deal, and nobody's doing it like Born to Ride.
Yeah, it's really cool because it started out where I shared the magazine onto their site, onto their group, and the guy this morning sent me an email like, "Oh, this is just, we don't do advertising here." So, but he was nice about it. So I was like, well, it's a public notice. A magazine's for the biker community, for bikers. So, how can I help you? And because of the engagement that we had, now we're good friends, and he's helping us, we're helping him, and it's a universal language, man. And that's what's so cool. And then he started sending me these pictures of some of the choppers they build, and they're unbelievable, man. And it's on the other side of the world, and that's what motorcycling does for people. It brings people together.
Yep, absolutely true. Absolutely true. And I'm telling you, wait till you guys, have you ever talked to Mondo before at Denver's Choppers?
Never have, no.
First time. Very excited.
We know of him.
He is it. If you talk about what a classic chopper looks like, chances are Mondo built it over the years, because it's every great custom bike magazine had Denver's Choppers in them. And he used to do so many cool things, like he would hide the oil tank in the back fender so that you wouldn't even see the oil tank at all. There'd be a little Sportster tank up there, and, these 16, 18 over Springer front ends that are so perfectly balanced that you can just turn them all the way and do little circles in the parking lot. They're completely light, balanced bikes. Amazing. And so Mondo will be on any minute now with us, and folks will get to talk to him. He is truly a living legend.
Now, does he run his business in his shop by himself, or does he have partners? Or
he's got some helpers, but it's mainly Mondo.
All his creations, huh? And he's been doing this long. I saw some photos. Some photos of hair when he was brunette, and then silver fox. So
there was another guy, Denver, right? A guy Denver himself, and then him and Mondo started the
Denver Mullins. Denver Mullins and Mondo started it together, and then Denver passed away. He was really into these fast boat races, and he had created a special cockpit that would launch if you wrecked your boat, going a couple 100 miles an hour on the water. It would launch you off of it. Well, that's how he actually died, is he was in one of these capsules that took on water, and could not get to him in time. It was a terrible thing. But right after that, it wasn't long that Mondo decided, as a tribute to Denver, to continue Denver's Choppers on, and he did that in Vegas at the time, just outside of Vegas, a little town called Henderson. And now he's in Reno, Nevada, not far from Paco. And so they do a lot of cool stuff together, Denver's and Paco. And that's another good thing, because Paco's given us a beautiful rigid frame to go with that Springer front end. So whoever wins the best chopper at our incredible custom chopper show, they're going to get this beautiful chopper frame and a beautiful Springer front end by Mondo. So it's going to be pretty cool.
And Eric had a great idea. He said, whoever wins these parts, we should follow them throughout the year and have them put together a build and bring it back to the next show.
Yeah, we're gonna
Absolutely.
try to get someone to give a headlight, and then maybe a whole rolling chassis, eventually some wheels, tires, and in the studio we have Joe from FTW who's giving away $1,000 to that same winner. Somebody's gonna win a frame, a front end, and $1,000.
Cashola.
And that's not in the bike show itself. It's with the display bikes, the builders. They'll vote amongst each other to award a winner. So it'll be a real deal bike builder, chopper builder, and we're also going to have the chopper show on Saturday as well. Mm-hmm. So
right, and the chopper show itself, that's there's a ride-in show, and then there's the actual builder show. So it's a big deal. It's going to be. The only thing I can think of is it's sort of like Born Free in California. It is just a great, live show with music and vendors, and it's just going to be great.
Well, we could only hope that it could be that good as Born Free, because those guys really know what they're doing.
That's a tall bar.
And it's really some awesome people are part of that, and we just want to bring that vibe and try to bring the that lifestyle together here. And it's exciting because it's part of a bike rally already. 24 years, Thunder by the Bay in Sarasota has been doing this rally. So we don't have the pressure just to say, oh my gosh, I hope the people show up to this bike show, because we're just kind of a small part of the big rally that they put on, and they do a great job. It's at the Sarasota Fairgrounds, and it's just something really exciting for us, and we want to thank everybody that's been a part of it. And of course, we've got a great guest today who's going to be a big part of it, because he's giving us that front end, for it. And I think he's on the line now.
Absolutely. Mondo is on the line here. Let's bring him on here. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. We've got you on the line with Born to Ride Radio.
Welcome.
Hey, Mondo.
Hey, everybody.
How
you guys doing?
We're doing it. Yeah, 2021. Woohoo!
Yeah. Well, question mark there, but yeah, it's great to be a guest on your show. I'm honored to be on your show, and Dave Nichols, what a guy. He's been a guy that's helped me with my career throughout, and I owe a lot to, and so it's a pleasure to be on with all you guys, and hope I can add some color to your wonderful show.
For sure you will. But you know what? You just said something important. So right off the bat, why don't you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Dave Nichols and how it's been through the years, and maybe some finer points of some of the great accomplishments that you guys have done together.
Give us the dirt on Dave.
I was going to say that. Sugarcoat it and then give us a little bit of dirt.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've known Dave for many years, since he took the helm at Easy Rider magazine and took that magazine to the next level with him and Kai and the rest of the crew, the dedicated people there at Easy Rider magazine that are real motorcycle riders and builders and very accomplished in their own right. That fantastic group of people led by Dave. And I met him when I took over Denver Choppers in 1992 when Denver got killed in that drag boat racing accident. And I took the helm of Denver Choppers and met Dave right away and showed him a couple of my bikes. And the next thing I know, I'm on my way. Dave's got me in the magazines. And even though I had been in the magazine since the late 60s, early 70s, but not as the owner of Denver Choppers. And so I kept building bikes and getting them in the magazines and building a little following and some nice bikes that were featured in the magazines. I got 4 covers of Easy Rider magazine, which I think is probably a record, and some centerfolds. And it was a lot of fun doing the photo shoots with Dave, because we'd always get to go down and hang out at the photo shoot with with the models and stuff, and that wasn't too hard to take. But Dave, you know, I don't know if you guys know this about Dave, but he was one of the guys that when Biker Build-Off started years ago with Tom Beers, and they went to Dave and says, Dave, we want to do this show. I think it was Dave's idea to feature two bike builders against each other, along with Billy Lane, I believe. And they all brainstormed and says, yeah, let's put two bike guys against each other building bikes and do this neat show on Discovery. Well, Dave was the guy behind the picking of a lot of the contestants for Biker Build-Off, and he chose me. And you know, Discovery Channel called me and asked, "Do you want to be on Biker Build-Off?" And I said, "Only on one condition: if I can go against Indian Larry." So they said, "Well, let's call Indian Larry," because they already had him scheduled for his third appearance, but against somebody else. And Indian Larry says, "Yeah, get rid of the other guy. I want to go against Mondo." So we made this big deal that was going to be East Coast against West Coast style guys that building bikes, and both of us were pretty well known, and that's how I got started. But I owe all that to Dave, along with a lot of other stuff. Another thing that Dave did for me, and just completely surprised me, is the 30th anniversary Easy Rider magazine. Dave had me bring two of my bikes down to L.A. to get them shot for the magazine, and they were built 30 years apart. And so I took them down, got them shot, and I thought, okay, this is cool as hell, you know, and went home, and Dave was real secretive. He didn't tell me anything. The magazine came out the 30th anniversary, and there my two bikes were in the magazine. But the coup de grace was that Dave Mann did a painting of those two motorcycles. And that was end up being Dave Mann's last painting. He passed away right after that painting.
Wow.
And so that painting, you know, everybody knows that over the years, getting Easy Rider magazine, and you opened it up, and the first thing you did is look for that Dave Mann painting. And I opened up the magazine, kind of put it through. I looked at that, and I just fell out. And then I talked to Dave, and Dave told me, he says, hey, you know, we didn't know if Dave was even going to make it through this painting. But it ended up being, you know, their 30th anniversary T-shirt and the painting itself. So I think that's probably one of the biggest honors that I have that was bestowed upon me by Dave Nichols. So, and plus we're just good friends. We used to do a lot of bike shows together, and I'd bring my bikes to some of the bike shows, and Dave would judge me harshly, and once in a while I'd get trophy, maybe I wouldn't, you know, but there's a picture right there of the Dave Mann painting. But
well, Mondo,
all that to Dave Nichols.
Well, Mondo, speaking of that, though, it wasn't just the motorcycles; it was you cruising on the chopper with another guy. Who was the other guy in the photo in the painting as well?
That guy, his name was Charlie Baxter, just a friend of mine, and he looks a lot like Denver. If he would have had a,
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been Denver. And what I'm doing right now that's kind of fun is I'm doing a clone bike of one of Denver's original choppers that was on the cover of, I believe, Street Chopper magazine in the like 1970 or so. So I'm recreating that motorcycle right now, and I did the frame molding on it like I used to do for Denver many years ago. We used to do the custom frame molding where the gas tank looks like it was molded to the frame, but there's a little line and the gas tank came off, and the legs on the frame would be peaked, and quite a cool looking deal back then. So I busted out over the holidays and molded the frame, and that's something I hadn't done in about 40 years. And when I got first started at Denver Choppers, I was known as Mondo, because I used to do all the frame molding for Denver, which was a big deal back then, was the frame molding. So hopefully when I get this bike done, that maybe I can bring that back a little bit, you know, I'll take this bike and show it around and get people to take a look at what we used to do in the old days, because that's what I'm trying to recreate.
Oh, I hope it's finished by February 19th.
Nothing like putting
right
some
now.
pressure there.
It might be, but the painter's got it right now, and I'm doing 2 or 3 pretty unique custom motorcycles right now that I want to debut next year. I'm doing an Indian Larry bike that's a tribute bike, and I showed Paul Cox, and he said, wow, that's beautiful. In fact, he's doing the seat for it right now, but I had a graphic artist do the artwork on it. There's some paintings of Indian Larry on there, that look like photographs, not like airbrush. I mean, they're that nice. And I hope to debut that pretty quick.
Well, I know Dave did a feature interview for a upcoming issue of Born to Ride, and I think that's coming out next month. So that'll be really good. But didn't you build the famous secretive mystery golden chopper in the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, Rough Boys.
The Rough Boys.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Tell us a little bit about that one, because we featured that a month or so ago as well in the magazine, and a lot of people were going, "Damn, that's a badass chopper."
That thing runs like a clock. It's so nice. It's an original panhead, I think about a 55 rebuilt, and it's just one of those you give it one kick and it just sits there and hums, and like an old panhead should. But I was in on that build with Paco, and Ron Pa from Paco. Him and I are really great friends, and Steve Massicott. In fact, the whole crew at Paco are just 30 miles down the road from me here in Reno. They're in Carson City, Nevada. So I spend a great deal of time down there in the R&D department and walking around grabbing parts and stuff like that. It's that's probably one of the best kept secrets in the industry is Paco. It's about 120,000 square feet of a custom shop that people don't realize that the beautiful bikes that come out of that place, and they've been in business for 50 years, and Ron just was inducted in the Hall of Fame, and quite an operation. If you ever get a chance, go by Paco and check that out.
120,000 square feet. I mean, that's almost a Walmart, a super Walmart.
Pretty damn big.
That's huge.
Wow, I didn't run that through my
metal
head.
comes in one end of the building, and beautiful chrome parts go out the other end of the building, and frames and front ends, and everything. And the stamp parts that he builds, and the aftermarket parts that we all use on our bikes, and a lot of stuff that goes to Ted Cycle and a lot of other people comes from Paco. So we do what we do, and they're a big part of what we do, and everybody, if you're building choppers at one point or another, you use a Paco part. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, the frames are so important, and those guys dial them in. I've talked to a lot of builders who use nothing but their products. And matter of fact, in the studio tonight we have Joe, the welder, but he's a fabricator, and he believes in the old school, and from New York, and he hung around with Indian Larry as well. And I know he's got a question for you, man. Come on, a fabricator. You talking to Mondo, a legend right now. Come on, man. Take care of business.
I'm shy, man.
I'm shy.
You guys, I've always admired your work, and I like that fact that you hide your oil tanks and stuff. You hid the oil tanks and all that. That's so cool. I take a little pieces of everybody that I admired, because I learned from a lot of different people watching what they did and stuff. I'm no kid either, I've been doing this for a couple of days, and I watch everybody, and I don't want to copy them. I want to make it like a tribute to them. You know what I mean? And I'm just impressed with everything that you do. I think it's mad cool.
Well, thank you so much for saying that, and that means a lot. That means a lot to me and Denver's Choppers, the history of Denver Choppers. If you don't mind, I'd like to give you a little history on Denver Choppers, how it started and where, and
sure.
For people that don't know.
Why don't we do that when we come back from a commercial break?
Mondo, we got a quick break.
Absolutely.
Hang on, and we'll be right back with Mondo from Denver's Choppers, legend in the studio tonight.
Yeah, Mondo, I'll tell you what, when you were talking about that panhead, the grin on Joe's face here. Okay. Hold on, guys. We'll be back momentarily with more of Born to Ride Radio on the Boss Hogg Radio Network.
Check out the all-new BornToRide.com with radio, TV, industry, adventure, events, magazine, social media, and much more. It's the all-new BornToRide.com.
Hi, I'm attorney Robert Rubenstein, and this is Rubenstein's Rules for Personal Injury. Rule number 1. Get an attorney. When you or a loved one have been injured by another's negligence, an experienced attorney can make a huge difference. At Rubenstein Law, we will find all of the insurance, make sure your injuries are documented, and work to get you the best result. While each case is different, a well-known insurance company's own study showed people with a lawyer on average got more money. Call Rubenstein Law at 1-800-FL-LEGAL.
Find us on Facebook, Born to Ride TV and magazine. The ultimate multimedia biker experience.
This is Boss Hogg Radio, home of Born to Ride Radio. You can join the motorcycle enthusiast conversation by calling 863-225-2000.
That's right, folks. Welcome back to Born to Ride Radio. In the studio, we've got Joe the Welder from Joe.
Yeah, I'm from Plant City.
Yeah, I know Plant City, but I mean your company. Your
FTW?
FTW. Okay.
For two wheels.
Yep, for two wheels. Okay. Ron Galletti in the studio, Debbie Galletti in the studio, and Mama Duke's over there. Okay, there you go. On the line, we've got Dave Nichols. Are you still there, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and also we've got Mondo from Denver's Choppers. You there, Mondo?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome back. Okay.
right.
Now, where were we? There was a question. I think he was.
Mondo
is going to give us some
take us
info,
down
some
memory
info
lane.
on some history. I mean, 50 years in the industry, man. You got to bring it. Give us some knowledge, man.
All right. Denver Shoppers was the brainchild of a guy named Denver Mullins out of San Bernardino, California. And we call it, the guys around the country call it Purdue. So Purdue was the capital of the bike building industry and the custom industry. It was home of the Hells Angels, started there. The Vagos started their clubhouse was right behind our shop in San Bernardino. So it was a little biker community that we grew up in right there in Southern California, close to the mountains and not that far from the beach or Hollywood. So we were kind of centrally located. But we started out building custom cars, and I used to hang out in Denver's shop, and he did chopping tops and custom painting, and he did the airbags, and back then they used airbags in the cars and for lifts and stuff like that. So it was a custom body shop, and as a young kid at 13, I started building cars. So I started hanging out at his shop, and Denver couldn't get rid of me, and then he started showing me how to do body work and paint. And then he got a chopper and started modifying it, and some of the other guys did, and little Freddie Hernandez and Butch and myself, we all got Harleys. And back then, you couldn't pick up a catalog and order parts, so if you wanted something nice and new or shiny, you had to make it yourself. And so we started extending the front ends and making the Springer front ends and doing the paint work and the molding and stretching the frames. And before you knew it, we were a bunch of guys riding around on some really cool bikes around Hollywood and all of Southern California. And so that was kind of fun, building our bikes. And people started coming to us and say, "Hey, we like your bikes. Can you build us more? Build us a front end or this or that?" And so we went from a car shop to a bike shop in '67, and never looked back. The shop just grew and grew, and our style grew, and with the long stretch frames and the long front ends, we're pretty much the guys that invented all that stuff, and it took off. And in fact, the Swedish style bike is actually a Denver chopper, and there was even a bike club in Sweden called Denver's Choppers, and they were out of Stockholm. And those guys even sent me a 30-year anniversary poster from Stockholm for the Denver Choppers. So when you see the Denver Choppers long bikes, and they call them Swedish in Sweden, they're really Denver Chopper bikes. So and those guys are the first to tell you that. That's where it came from. So we set a trend, with the long bikes, and everybody had their own deal going. In the Bay Area, and Ron Sims and Arlen did the digger bikes and the cafe racers, and back east they had their own style. And with the advent of the magazines, with both Dave and Street Chopper and Easy Rider and all the other magazines, everybody started seeing each other's products, and it kind of morphed into a nationwide thing and then a worldwide thing with the long bikes. And we've pretty much never looked back. It's been something that's been going on for Denver Choppers for now 53 years in business. And we've built a lot of bikes, we've set a lot of trends, and had a lot of fun. And that's kind of the story and the background behind Denver Choppers. Denver and I got real interested in race boats and drag boat racing, and so we went into that full time and opened up a drag boat shop, and we had a 3-boat team. And in 1992, Denver got killed on our top fuel drag boat. I drove one, he drove one. We had an agreement that if anything happened to either one of us, we were to get killed. Drag boat racing would keep the shop going. And so I honored my agreement and took over Denver Choppers in '92. So I've had it for the last 28 years, and building these bikes and still having fun and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and kept my promise to my best friend Denver, and we just never looked back. Haven't had time to. We're too busy going forward. That's kind of the Reader's Digest version of Denver Choppers. There's a lot of stories along the way and coming up through the ranks and riding back in with there were real bikers riding bikes, and it was a brotherhood and all the club runs and everything else. It was just it's been an experience that I'm glad I was able to live through all that. Most of the guys that I rode with back then are dead and gone, and so I'm one of the last guys left out of our bunch.
Who did you ride with?
Still trying to keep this thing alive. Pardon me?
Who did you ride with?
Well, the different clubs. There was the Psychos Motorcycle Club. There was the Vagos. There were Muscaleros, Hell's Angels. There was Diablos. There was a lot of clubs in Southern California. So we part of these runs in Coachella every year called a pit run, and most all the clubs would show up for that. Hopefully everybody got along, but sometimes they didn't. But it was such a small. Bikers were bikers back then, and they were all loyal to each other, and so it was us against society. So we pretty much all worked together and stuck around together and raised our families together, and it was different back then. It was for a different reason. We were outcasts of the society. Where everybody's riding bikes now. It's a whole different genre now than it was back then. So it was growing up and taking your lumps and bumps, and you had to earn the right to have a motorcycle. But they didn't think you had the wherewithal to be a biker. You'd probably lose your bike. It wasn't. It was a whole different set of rules back then. Never leave a biker on the side of the road, take him home, fix his bike, feed him a meal, and send him on his way the next day. And that's kind of the way it was, and that's kind of gone. I've seen that kind of go to the side a little bit. There's still a lot of people that still act like still remember the old days and know the biker code, and hopefully some of these young guys take up the biker code and keep this thing going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for 53 years, you've been involved in this, and so much respect to you from everybody internationally. But it seems that you've stayed true to your beliefs, and you're still building kind of the same bikes that you did back then. And how does that make you feel that you haven't changed, or what do you think about that?
When people ask me that question, it's kind of a cool question, because a lot of guys try to build and imitate the bikes that we did back then, and I can say I'm just doing what I've always done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not imitating anybody. I'm building the bikes that we're building back then, and still building the same style chopper. And they've really never gone out of style. They've gone out of popularity, but they've never gone out of style.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of goes. It's like a roller coaster ride. Everybody wants one for a while, and then they don't, and then they want the fat tire choppers, and then those go away. And if you just stay to tradition, then you can't miss.
Well, I wanted to ask you too. The art of the front end, the forks, the chopper forks. There's an art to that, and the way they ride, it's how they fit into the frame. But
precision.
Yeah, it's how they really ride, and how important is that? And what's kind of the secret to make that frame so lovable when you ride it?
Well, it's just years and years of R&D, just messing with the rake and the trail, the materials, everything about them, and the frame geometry, all that, and the size of the front wheel. If you go long, you go to the 19-inch wheel. People don't know that, but anything over 30 inches long, I require my guys to put a 19 on them, because you got to think of a wheel as like a gyroscope. If you ever played with one of those as a kid, the inertia from the outside of the wheel, it'll actually pull your hand right and left when you play with those little things you used to hold in your hand. And the same with a big wheel. It'll make the front end surge if you put a big tall wheel on a long front end. So you keep your axle down lower and keep the center of gravity down lower, and don't have that big wheel out there spinning like a flywheel with weights on it. And that's the key to making these things work, is the geometry and the way you set them up in the wheel size. So that's just worked for me, and I found that out through the years, and continue to do that, and we can make these front ends work. I've got one guy from Atlanta right now. He's got a 30 over bike. I built him a couple of years ago. He's got 150,000 miles on it. He rides back and forth across the country. Name's Tim Smith, and he's got a 30 over bike with a Denver rigid frame and jockey shift and an SNS motor. And he rides 800 to 1,000 miles a day on that. I've been with him when he's done it. And back and forth, and that bike has never let him down. And he said it was probably one of the most comfortable bikes he's ever ridden, because of the way he packs all his gear on the back. He just leans against the gear and pull back bars, and just you see pictures of him all over the internet of him. Sometimes he'll even pull a trailer behind that long bike and him going back and forth across the country. So these are bikes that not only look good, but they can be ridden and enjoyed. And, you ride them up, take home a trophy sometimes. And if Dave's not the judge, and we're okay.
Speaking of Dave, Mondo gave you some good props about how you helped him and your vision, but what, as a guy like Mondo, done for our industry, and how do people hold him in regard, and the respect that he's earned from hard work and dedication and his craft of art? How has he impacted our industry?
Well, I'll tell you, there are only a handful of bike builders. You could probably count them on one hand, honest to God, that have the kind of impact that Mondo has had over the years. And it's really true. I mean, we're talking about people like Arlen Ness, Dave Perowitz, Donnie Smith, Mondo. That air is pretty rarefied up there when you're talking about this level of bike builder, because they're not only designing motorcycles, but really the whole look and feel of the lifestyle that we love. It's based on guys like Mondo's passion for two wheels, a lifelong love of motorcycles. And I'll tell you one thing, a Denver's bike, any bike that Mondo builds, you can ride them all day long, every day. I had a bike that Mondo built for me with a 16-inch over Springer front end, and that thing was just like a Cadillac. People think that rigid choppers are difficult to ride and stuff like that. That frame would flex, and it felt like it was a lot more comfortable than any Softail, I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. And so, when you look at the big picture, we did Mike Lichter and I did a book a number of years ago that really featured the top custom bike builders in the country. And Mondo's in there, and he's in there with, these icons of the industry. And I'll tell you, it's been nothing but a pleasure to be friends with Mondo and to help him to achieve a lot of what he's wanted to do. And, I used to tell people, they would thank me for putting their bike in the magazine. I would say, look, if you didn't build good-looking bikes, I couldn't put them in the magazine, Mm-hmm. So you're doing something right, and to me, the way a chopper should look, that's what Mondo does. That's all he does. That's what he does best. He makes good-looking choppers.
And the iconic Dave Mann painting is such a perfect tribute, on
the 30th anniversary.
30th, and, the way it all came together like that. And that'll be here forever. That's not going away. So it's embedded into motorcycling history. Joe, what do you think of the setup that Mondo was talking about? How and Dave, what they're doing with what he's, what he does.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. What he says. When I was a kid, I hated math, but I used math every day, all the time, and now I don't even think about it. It just happens, And when my children were growing, I used to tell them math is everything. Math is everything, and I made them count everything, and I made them multiply and divide. Reading the tape measure, that was huge. And once they got a grasp on that, everything else kind of just flows, Once you know, like, your geometry, what kind of bike you're trying to build. I build rigids myself, and I ride it every day. And I got a lot of miles on my old shovel head. And mine's a shorter front end, more of a New York style. But that thing just cruises, man. I have, and it's the same thing. It's the way it's set up, the wheels, everything is, he's absolutely correct what he says, Those are lessons we had to learn the hard way, though. I remember having long front ends, and they would bob all over the road and chuck, and you'd have to, kind of pray to, whoever you believe in to get around that last turn, man. It was like, wow, I can't imagine I did that. But you never let off the throttle. You always keep control. Learn that the hard way, too. But, yeah, I'm amazed, man. I'm just in awe. I can't believe I'm listening to Mondo live talking. He's on the phone with us.
Isn't that cool?
It's awesome.
Hey, I'm glad to be live too, bro.
Well, hey, we're glad to have you live.
Deb, did you have something?
Oh, Mondo, I was going to ask, what do you think about some of these I don't want to say up and coming because they've been around for a while, but they're, some of these builders that are out there today on the East Coast. There's Bill Dodge and there's Brian Butera that are building some awesome looking choppers, and they're not old school guys, but they love the look and they love the old school. What do you think about them?
I think Brian's a shining star, and he's. I compliment him all the time on Facebook, and I watch his builds. And he went over my front ends a while back and was going to put it on a bike, and I felt honored about that because anything that he builds is nice. Bill Dodge has been around a long time. He used to work for Jesse James. When he got started, Bill was one of the crew there. But I pretty much know all the guys in the industry that are up-and-comers, and I tell you, this thing of ours, this chopper thing's in good hands. I see some really nice work going on out there, and these young guys are they're keepers of the flame. They're going to keep this thing of ours going when we're gone, and I'm happy about that. It makes me smile. And I always tell them, let your work do your talking for you. Don't try to be cocky. Don't try to act like you invented the wheel or did something on a motorcycle that nobody's done. It's pretty much everything that's been done. Just be humble, build your bikes, let your bikes do your talking for you, and be true to yourself and be true to your style. Don't try to copy everybody all the time. Come up with your own deal and your own thing that makes you stand out in the crowd. And some of the young guys listen, some of them don't, and the ones that don't usually don't last long. They're in it for the wrong reasons. They try to get in it for the fame instead of the love of the build and the love of the lifestyle. If you get recognized, it's because you've done good work. Like Dave said, you got a nice bike, it'll go in the magazine. So just have fun at it and don't let it stress you out and think of it. You got to be better than everybody else because there's always somebody better than everybody else. There's guys that I look up in the industry and I think I'm nothing compared to them. And Aaron Green is that man. He's one of the guy, Roger Goldhammer. Those guys, I feel like I can't hold a candle to them. And they're younger than me, but they're masters. They're masters at their craft, and I love them both immensely. And I travel with Aaron Green a lot, and him and Billy Lane. Those guys are masters, and so I think age has nothing to do with it. It's heart and soul, and your passion for what we do, and you can knock this thing out of the park if you just be true to yourself and come up with some good ideas.
Man, that's awesome. But Mondo, when you first started, or how did you get inspired to say, that's what I want to do? I want to build choppers. How did that all come about?
That's a good question. When I was a young kid, and I went to the corner market one time, and I was taking my Coke bottles in to change them in for some change for some candy. must have been about 10 or 11 years old. And I saw a group of bikers. There was bikers on a club called the Road Rebels come pulling up, and I saw them, and I go, man, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I want to be one of those guys. And so it never left my mind. And then when I got hooked up with Denver and playing with the cars, and then we got into the bikes, it was kind of a dream come true. You got to remember that back when we started building bikes and stuff, we didn't have another generation to look at that were chopper builders. Of course, there were guys out there with the bobbers and the chop bikes that came along before us, but there were really no chopper builders. So we couldn't look back and say, hey, there's Sugar Bear way back when. No, Sugar Bear was our generation. So we had nobody to look up to. And now these younger guys do. They can look up to the older guys and go, okay, this is what they're about. And I always tell Dave, and he knows this more than anybody, is to know where you're going, you need to know where you've been. History is everything when you talk about motorcycles. You need to know the history of the motorcycle, the chopper, where it came, and the guys that busted their butts to get through it and took the hard knocks so these young guys can kind of go around and do what they do now. There's old guys, gray-haired guys, and I always tell the young guys, you see an old gray-haired guy with an old bike, go up and shake his hand. He took the lumps and bumps so you can ride around now and look cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we blaze the trail for you guys and appreciate that more than anything, and try to be honorable. You know,
a lot of bloody knuckles,
and live by the code.
Uh-huh.
And you old guys know what the code is, and I think you can never go wrong if you just show that respect to everybody else.
And
get what you get.
And you know, that's why we're honored to and thankful for you to be a part of Chopper Town live with us, and being a part of it brings some validation of these builders dig that when they find out that you're going to giving away a front end. And I got to thank Dave Nichols because he brought it to the table. He said, let me call Mondo. And, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
And we're really looking forward to, doing the big feature in the magazine and anything else we can do to help you promote and market. But it's the words that you say, I think, that are very strong. And people have to dig those words and know what it's about. And most of these guys all know about it, but it's total respect because, not everybody can preach that word like you've been doing tonight. And it's such an honor to have you on the show. Dave, anything else you've got, man?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm just so happy to still, be able to do things with Mondo and help him. I did a thing with him a few months back in Choppers magazine, and now Born to Ride. And, it's like the love of bikes, it just keeps us all together. And I'll tell you, when Mondo and I get together and talk, it's like not a day has passed, It's like we're brothers for life, and that's part of the lifestyle. That's part of what keeps us all doing this. It's Dave Perowitz used to say that people used to get into bike building and they thought there was money in it. It's not about the money, or nobody would really be doing it. It's all about the fact that, man, there's nothing else that you would do. It's the best people, most fun that you can have is being involved with bikers. I'll tell you that.
And here we are in the studio, Fester. I mean, what do you think? Got a legend on the line with us today.
Well, of course, been listening to him talk, and of course on Facebook Live we've been rolling through some photos and everything. And I guess my question, Mondo, is, as someone that has done some fabrication, built a motorcycle, and wouldn't trade that for the world, but don't know that I want to do it again, because that's a task. Okay, I mean, but at the same time, do you still like getting out in the shop each day and doing it? I mean, when you're trying to run a business, and I know what that's like, that can just be an awesome task in itself that, can just consume your day.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm blessed, and I'm in the shop 7 days a week, and I always have been. For the last 30 years, I've been, pretty much 7 days a week because I love it. There's no place I'd rather be than here in the shop creating parts and making making motorcycles. But I also build cars. I'm building a 57 Chevy Bel Air straight axle gasser right now for my daughter. So when I get tired of working on the bikes, I'll work on the cars.
How cool is that?
And that's fun. And then, I used to have the drag boat shop, and I'd build drag boats. And we built all the safety capsules with the F-16 windshields and roll cages. That was Denver and I that were doing that. And most of the guys in the race today still use my stuff, even though I'm not doing it anymore. They're getting recycled through the sport. But somebody mentioned something earlier about the building and about math and building. You can build anything you want. You just need to get the vision in your head of what you want to build, and then you're going from point A to point B. And it's just if it's the materials that you use, it's steel or fiberglass or wood, whatever you're building. You just go from point A to point B, and math is the most important thing in any type of building that you do. If you don't have math, you can't do what you're doing. But I recommend to any young guy out there that wants to get into building bikes, the first thing to do is go to community college and take the welding class and learn how to weld. And once you learn how to weld, then you can start fabricating, making parts. And, there's nothing more rewarding than making a hand-honed part that you made with your hands, and you get it chromed or put it on the bike, and you go, wow, there's not another one like that, and I made it with my own hands. And that's the rewarding part of bike building, is being able to make that one part. Start off with little parts like foot pegs or something like that, and the next thing you're doing pipes. But you got to take that welding class. That's the key to building motorcycles. So that's my recommendation to young guys: go take that class and learn how to TIG weld, and then you're off and running.
That's
and
awesome.
It's just a matter of fulfilling your dream and using your imagination and getting those ideas in the middle of the night and going through the next morning and putting it together.
Well, Mondo, we're getting ready to almost run out of time here, but I like to ask a lot of our guests. It's not a corny question, but what's the secret to your success? It's like somebody's out there right now that, I quit that, I can't do this, or I'm burnt out. 53 years, that's success-driven mindset. Give us some inspiration to someone out there right now. What does it take? What's the secret to your success?
Well, the secret to my success is first of all, love. The old saying, "Love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life." I'm walking evidence of that. I love what I do so much, and I'm always trying to come up with new ideas and new things. And you think, well, it's just two wheels and a motor. What can you come up with? You'd be surprised what you can come up with on a motorcycle.
That does amaze me. That does.
As far as parts and a new idea and making a bike look a certain way. And you got to remember, a lot of times people will come to me to have them build a bike, and they've got their own imagination. So I've got to encompass what their dreams are, and then bring them into reality, and yet keep it within the realms of Denver Chopper. So. It's just fun, It just have fun at what you do, and here's the definition for you guys. People come to me and say, "Hey, you're a good bike builder." And I said, "No, I just been doing it for a long time, and my pile of parts that I built that were wrong is a big pile. Once you get a big pile of parts that you built wrong, then that's going to make you a good bike builder because you've learned by your mistakes. Learn by your mistakes. Don't be afraid to try. If you get it wrong, throw it in the pile. Build another part until you get it right. I've got a bigger pile than anybody, and that's the secret to my success."
That's awesome.
That's a trophy.
Well, we're almost out of time. Dave, you got anything?
Yeah, Mondo, I love you, brother. I love you too, Dave. And again, my career, I owe it to you guys. You guys are doing what you're doing, and anybody needs a motorcycle front end, rolling chassis frame, custom built, give me a call. I'll be happy to talk to you about it.
How do they get in touch with you?
Your front end is built, sitting here. Just let me know where to ship it.
Awesome.
It's ready to go.
Tell people how they get in touch with you to get some more information or to get some orders going.
DenversChoppers.com, you guys. Denver's Choppers, Denver's with an S, Choppers with an S.com. Give me a call. I can make your dreams come true and get a new friend. I love the people involved with motorcycles. We'll see you in Sturgis this year, you guys. We'll be doing we'll be involved with about 4 or 5 different bike shows this year in Sturgis, and come out there. And Buffalo Chip will be putting on a bike show, an old school show, and so I love doing the bike shows. I put on a show here in Reno on the West Coast called Street Vibrations, and that's a big indoor show every year that I do, and I do some on the West Coast, California. So get online. You'll see where we're doing shows. Come out and meet us, and let's talk about old days and motorcycles and your kids and your dogs and cars.
All right. We appreciate it. Thanks so much, both Dave and Mondo, for joining us on Born to Ride Radio.
Much respect.
Yeah, good show.
Honor and a pleasure, you guys. Thank you.
Man, let's do it again.
All right.
Y'all have a great evening. Stay safe.
Anytime, you guys.
Okay.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. And you've been listening to Born to Ride Radio on the Boss Hogg Radio Network. I'm Fester Jenkins saying again one more time, keep it in between the ditches, stay safe, and until next week, enjoy.
If Instagram is your thing, we're there. We're everywhere. Follow us at #Born to Ride Motorcycle Media, your #1 motorcycle resource.
Yeah, I have to say, Born to Ride has been a big influence on my trailer sales in the last 2 or 3 months. It's been nothing but a big surprise. I mean, the magazine articles, everything in the commercials, it's been nothing but the best of help to me in my business.
Is your business becoming invisible? Create a great advertising relationship today with Born to Ride. Call 888-795-5779.
This is the Boss Hogg Radio Network. 1170 AM WKFL Bushnell. 1330 AM WWAB Lakeland Plant City. 1360 AM WHNR Cypress Gardens Winter Haven. And 1390 AM and 107.5 FM WAVP and W298BU FM Avon Park.